Alright, chapter 5, topic 2. So, is this true? 1 is less than 2 is less than 3? Yeah, that's true. Oops. What if we multiply everything times 10? Times 10. Times 10. Right? We get 10, 20, 30, 40. Is this still true? 10 is still less than 20. 20 is still less than 30. Yep, that's true. So, what about if we were to multiply these first numbers all by negative 10? So, by negative 10. That gives us negative 10, negative 20. Is that true? No, that is not true, because on a number line, negative 20 would be here, negative 10 would be there, so negative 10 is actually greater than negative 20. Alright, so these have to go like this, and that gives us our main rule. This is the only real significant difference than just solving equations. So normally we just solve, just like we solve an equation, the only difference is if we multiply or divide by a negative number, then you have to flip the inequality. Okay, so write that in here. You should have a space on your paper. You should be writing, pause if you need to, when you multiply or divide by a negative number, that's the key, by a negative, you can multiply, that's fine, but if you multiply by a negative number, you need to reverse the inequality sign. So here, if I divide by negative 3, 21 divided by negative 3 is negative 7. So that solves for B. Now I have to switch this. It's got to go the other way. Okay, same thing here. If I multiply by a negative, alright, times negative 6 times negative 6 gives me y is greater than negative 12 over 3, which is y is greater than negative 4. Alright, so that's how that works. It's the only difference between that and just straight solving like you would solve an equation normally. So a few more examples. Divide by negative 8. Right? You remember this stuff. N is greater than or equal to, whoops, almost made a mistake. See, if you go too fast, you're going to forget. I almost did. So now we got n is less than or equal to, because I divided by a negative 8, 2. So close circle at 2, pointing that away. Multiply by 4. So did I multiply or divide by a negative? No. So I can keep the sign the same. T is less than negative 8. I multiplied, but it was by a positive number, so that's okay. So that'll be negative 8 there. Negative 6, negative DAs. So open circle at 8, pointing that way. Usually put on at least more than one number when you're graphing these, and just be clear to, that way it lets me know that you know that the positive direction on the number line is this and the negative is that when you have two numbers. And then make sure your circle looks like it's over the right thing. So negative x over 7. So if this is a negative, I want to get a positive x. I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative 7 over 1. Negative 7 over 1 is just negative 7. So that cancels. It gives me an x. Negative times a negative is a positive x. Multiplied by a negative, I got to switch it. That gives me 14. So this one's 14. And I want all the stuff that way. Alright, last one. Now remember, multiplying fractions. Oh my gosh, fractions. We can do this. So, times 4, and I get, right, always by the common denominator. Now when I multiply 4 times 3/4, these just cancel. Don't go multiplying these things like a bunch of you guys just did on your midterm, okay? So it's 3k, because these cancel is the whole point, is less than 60, right? I didn't divide or multiply by negative, so I don't have to switch. K is greater than 20. Divide both sides by 3, it gives you 20. So K is greater than 20. There's 20, point that way. And this will be negative 15 or something. Yeah. So there's your U try. Notice negative, flip, not negative, don't flip. A couple more of these sentence things. So let me get my lines here. So you do the same. Bam. Oh, can't have that. There we go. All right. Now, 4 times a number, so 4x is no more than, so that means it has to be less than or potentially equal to 108. Now we divide by 4. It gives me x is less than or equal to 27. So I'm going to close circle, bam, that way. 1/5 of a number, so that's 1/5 times a number x is at most 30. So it can be 30, so we got the equal to part, but it can't be more because it's at most 30, so it has to be less than or equal to 30. Alright, so now we just multiply both sides by a 5er, and that gives us 5 over 5 cancels, gives me x is less than or equal to 150. So there's 150, there's 149, and we got it going this way. Sweet. Alright, half of a number, so x divided by 2, that's half of a number, right? Or you could do 1/2 times x, either way, is at least. So it could be equal to 14 or more than. So either way, your first step here would be 2 times 2, and that cancels, or times 2, and that still cancels. Alright, so I just did that twice. We don't need 2 of them there, though. And then that gives us x is greater than or equal to 28. It's 28, here's 30, and x is going to be pointing this way. 300 is more than 10 times a number. That's a 10. So divide both sides by 10, and we got 30 is more than x. So remember, x has to be less than 30, so it actually points this way. If I wanted to rewrite it with the variable on the left, I think I emphasized that pretty strongly in my last video, it'd be like this: x is less than 30. So now the arrow points the same way. Alright, as you try, good luck on that. Have a great night. See you next class.